Ugh, you want to turn it down a little bit there? For us, anyway. I don't care what. Okay, that works. Thank you. I think we have all the starting lineups. We'll have to hustle today because we have 12 games. Oh, I guess we're missing 3.
Yeah, why is there so many games? Jesus.
There's like really no afternoon games.
I know.
To speak of, which is kind of odd for a Sunday.
When we got all the lineups, I was waiting.
No, we're missing 3. I thought we did. We're missing Pittsburgh and then Houston and LA. We may not get the Angels because I'm sure they're still waiting on Mike Trout, but
I wanted Houston just because I kind of like Bundy. It's going to be super low.
I think Houston might be waiting on Lance McCullers.
Yeah, that's what I figured. He actually got a second shot and then got sick after that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what he got from that last start.
Or he didn't want to pitch a Coors Field.
I mean, who does? And he's a curveball guy, too. Curveballs don't do what they should at Coors. The 2 games are my favorite stacks.
Which one? Boston, yeah.
My favorite stack, and then the Twins.
Yep, those are my 2 as well.
And
the weather in Minnesota is a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I think I like that one a little less than Boston. Just because of that.
Yes. I'm kicking. I'm bouncing my leg. So I'm nervous. I'm ready for the show. I got all this
nervous to hang out with me.
I got all this bonus energy because I got all these things I need to get done today, and I'm sitting here doing a show. So
I'm so sorry that we're infringing on your time.
I should have stopped looking at the weather, and I should have started making my tiers lineups here for MLB.
Tiers?
Oh man, no slates, no formats off, my friend. We ride.
You are a dedicated champion of Draftkings.
That's one word for it. Addiction would be another. Hey, shout out to Alex Baker for the Fanduel tournament. He was trying, NBA, he was trying to get one lineup on every page of it. Yeah, he did pretty good. Steve got third, the Colts.
Yeah, I saw that too. He was close.
Yeah, that was very close. Man, Squirrel Patrol, first and second. That guy owns the FanDuel finals. He's just...
I don't know anymore.
He's just...
He's actually a really nice guy. I hung out with him.
Yeah, you guys in all your live finals rubbing elbows. That doesn't happen for
But he's like, he always brings like all his kids to these things. I think that's cute.
All right, I got the run sheet out here too, so. I want to make sure I get all the reads in for our audience. First, we get to 250 likes, and I will suspend the promotions for the rest of the show. Just putting that out there.
Good deal.
So retweet and tell your friends. All right, Awesemo, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you with a little MLB Live Before Lock, joined by my Sunday partner in crime, one Max. Max, are we getting ready? Are we dialed in? We've got 12 games on DraftKings today.
There's nothing like a nice afternoon Sunday slate to do some DFSing and ignore your family.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, that's one of the pleasures of DFS is, you know, that quality family time that you don't have.
That's right.
It's gold. It's gold, I tell you. All right. Let's see. We'll get the old tweets out here. Let's wait a moment or two for everybody to collect. And then we are not going to dilly-dally once we jump in here. We do have 12 games today on Draftkings. There are 11 on Fanduel. They are not using they are skipping the Arizona at Atlanta game 1 of the doubleheader on Fanduel. Coors Field, well, you're really not going to get it today. There's not much of an afternoon slate. DraftKings is doing the Coors Field game and then the Miami at San Francisco game. FanDuel only has it on their all-day slate. Yahoo, of course, does their main slate with all games, so you can get it there. But it's it's a little sad we don't have the Coors Field experience today. But we've got tons of places where we're going to look to for hitters. We've got some solid pitching options. No real dominant aces, I would say, but we'll see where we want to classify the Brandon Woodruffs of the world. But we've got some solid pitching options here, so I think we'll jump in. There are several weather spots, so it sounds like they're just going to start in a delay in Boston. It's going to be nicer there this afternoon, so that one should be okay. Pittsburgh at Minnesota, very cold, very windy, chance of showers in the afternoon. I love that spot for the Twins. That's going to make me a little nervous. Now, we're not going to have to know right away on that one. I'm going to assume it's playing and just go from there. If we have to do a last-minute bailout, not a problem. That one, I think, the first pitch, I think, is at 2 o'clock for that one. So no issues there. And then we're going to run outside and tell us what the weather looks like there in New York. We got the Mets and the Nationals, a little bit of rain. The only fear with those guys is if it ends up sitting over the stadium or it's bad. These guys play each other so many times. Yeah. It's easy to make it up. The Seattle and Boston one, I was looking ahead on that. So last game Seattle plays in Boston, they just have a home and home series. They play 3 games in Seattle in September, and they would, of course, if they had to, they would make up the game probably then. As part of that, but it sounds like with the way the weather is, they're going to try to get it in today. Was there any other troublesome spots?
Nope, that's it. You mentioned them all, and it actually looks like everything is going to get in.
All right.
I'm not too concerned.
Let's jump on in here then and have some fun. Today we are sponsored by Odds Shopper. That is the Awesemo.com sister site. We'll talk about them a little bit, but that's where you can go and get all of your sports wagering needs met, all the information and a variety of odds across all the different sports books. Allows you to find the best lines and or the best numbers. So even if you are not in a state that has legalized sports wagering, you can utilize Odd Shopper for your player props, which help out for DFS. And that's a lot of models take into account, especially for baseball, the pitchers and what their projected strikeout totals are. So we'll talk about that one a little later. We got a fun one there with Taijuan Walker. But let's get rolling here on our first one. So we got a pair of lefties going on here in Oakland at Baltimore. So I'm going to spend 1 minute talking about how I handle the weather game. So yesterday we lost one game, and then this one looked like it wasn't going to happen. So we were down to 5-ish or 4 for sure games. So what I did with the Oakland-Baltimore game is I just built 10% of my lineups, stacking one of those 2 teams, and then I took them out of my player pool and then built the rest of my lineups. If the game hadn't happened, I would have been okay with it. Well, my guys got no hit, whatever, and I would have moved on. But I didn't want a bunch of one-offs floating around on my different lineups. I'm not going to be doing that today with Minnesota. I don't think. We'll look a little bit closer, but I think there's enough hitters in good spots there that I'm willing to take the chance on that one, and then I'm not going to worry about it with Boston. But here we are back to Baltimore. It's going to be in mid-60s today. It's a pleasant day here in the Washington, D.C. area. We've got Jesus Luzardo going against John Means. A couple of lefties here, 4.2 implied run total here for the Athletics. And then we have a 3.9 implied run total for the batters of Birdland. What do you want to do with our first game here, Max?
Yeah, so I think I want to play Luzardo, and I want to play some one-offs to get some home runs versus Mr. Means. So that's kind of the way I'm approaching it here. Luzardo actually looked a little lost to start the season. His fastball wasn't his usual self. But last start, he must have found something, because the fastball was up 2 miles an hour and his swinging strike rate went up to 23% last start. He hasn't pitched more than like 5 1/3. but I just think that's because he hasn't been very good. The matchup versus the Orioles is a good strikeout matchup. So I really like Luzardo here. Yeah. What do you think, EMac?
So I am tepid on both sides of all aspects of this one, actually. There will be some guys that kind of make it into my lineups. I am not going to force anybody in this one. This one just is, it's not really tickling my fancy. Of course, I'm playing just on DK today, so I got 11 other games to choose from. Generally, I do like to look, as a rule of thumb, to Oakland. They are always putting their guys in the best position platoon wise, and that's something that, of course, they've, since the Moneyball days, is something they focus on more so than almost any other team in baseball outside of probably Tampa Bay at this point. So that's the place I always look. And then in Camden Yards, especially in the summer, it's a home run haven.
Yeah,
it's not particularly right now, but I do think I like to call them the batters of Birdland, just because I think it's catchy and it's funny. And they had some section up in Camden. I see their ads all the time. They had something about Birdland was one of their, like 3 or 4 years ago, was one of their whatever their media campaign was blah, 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 Birdland. And I'm like, oh, let's call this the batters of Birdland. A little alliteration there. It's kind of fun to say. I don't think I invented that by any stretch, but I think it's catchy. They have unassuming hitters. Nobody knows who they are at this point, but they generally have some pop, and they get boosted by Camden Yards. I'm not really feeling the love for them today. I don't mind if they get into my lineups, but a lot of times I'll try to earmark a 5% of my team stacks just going to Baltimore just for the opportunity that they generally have, and the field rarely is on them unless it's a disaster of an opposing pitcher. I'm just not seeing that today. So for me, it's kind of like, which is rare. Usually I have a definitive read on these things. So
yeah, so let me sell you on Oakland a little bit, because you seem like you're not really that into the Oakland stack. They're coming in a little bit over-owned, so their net leverage is negative in our top stacks too. But Means is giving up 37.5% hard contact. And Canna, Laureano, Piscotti are all really cheap and hit very well versus lefties. Good ISO, good power. And Aramis, what is his last name? The catcher for Oakland here. Aramis Garcia is 3K and has really nice power numbers in this spot. So I think he's a really nice one.
All right. I can't fight you on that, but we shall see. I will say they are super cheap on DraftKings. You get Austin Hayes at 2,400, Ramon Urias at 26, and then McKenna at 2,000. It would not surprise me if those guys end up as some one-offs in my lineups where I'm not forcing in two stacks, just because they are near the absolute minimum. Outside of that, though, nothing else to really point to. Now, our next game, you wearing the Yankees hat today?
No, I don't know where it's in the car.
Not a true believer, I guess. But you've got Jameson Taillon.
Hey, we won 3 in a row, so let's go. Let's go, Yankees.
There we go. You know what we call that? A winning streak. So you've got the Yankees and Cleveland. Now, these guys played the 6 o'clock game yesterday, so we did not get to enjoy the Garrett Cole, and I think it was Shane Bieber on the mound. So we didn't get to have any fun on that unless you're doing a little season-long or short slate stuff. But today we got Jameson Taillon, Tristan McKenzie, 4.2 implied run total for the Yankees, which is kind of interesting. Although if you look at the bottom of their lineup, it sort of falls off. Question one, why the hell is Rougned Odor batting cleanup? And Gary, I only hit home run Sanchez. It's not surprising to see him batting 8th. Is he going to hit above his weight this year? Shots fired.
But Rougned Odor is back, baby. 2 home runs in the last 2 games. So that's why he's hitting 4th. And he's 2.7K. That's so cheap for somebody hitting in the middle of the Yankee line.
Yeah.
I like it. I like Ford at 2.8. I like Tauchman at the min price. Tristan McKenzie is like a really good prospect, right? But his fastball velocity down from 93 to 91 in his last start. Concerning for a young guy. I mean, I think the Yankees are too cheap here. I think you can stack them, play the 2K guys, and then play Judge and Stanton with them. It gives you a really nice upside lineup here. So I really like the Yankees. Adora's back and a homer 3 times in 3 days today.
All right. I see Jason Garrett auditioning. Hey, we always do have openings here. If you're not a dumbass, you can probably weasel your way in for a show or two. There's nothing wrong with that. But just, no. Now he says he doesn't want to do it. Okay. Well, there we go. All right. Well, back to this one. So how are you feeling about Taillon coming in here?
Yeah, don't play Taillon. He's just too expensive.
Yeah.
8.3K, and he hasn't gotten more than 5 innings. Doesn't really have the swinging strike rate to back up an 8.3K salary. And the Cleveland bats are pretty good. They don't strike out much. So it's just, you can find better on 12 games. All
right. How about the hitters here? Little Jose Ramirez, Eddie Rosario, Franmil Reyes, light tower power for days. Feeling good about it. Too expensive. Okay. 4,700 on DK for Reyes, 52 for Jose Ramirez. We're going to need like some stolen bases or something. Yeah, we're going to need some stolen bases to make that one happen.
It's just better spots. It's all smart.
Okay. Well, let's head on elsewhere because we do have quite a few games to get to here. I do want to mention to everybody, we do have the Awesemo Podcast Network. You're looking for free content. Well, here's a way to get a week of free of Awesemo All Access. Leave a 5-star review on any of our podcasts at any of our podcast sites. Put in your Awesemo username or your Twitter handle. You'll be entered into a drawing. Your name will remain in that drawing for 1 year, and each week we will give away 1 Awesemo weekly pass. That's all access. All you got to do is leave a 5-star review. If I were doing it, and since there's only a couple hundred names literally in this right now, I don't know why people aren't taking advantage of this. I would go to all the different podcast sites there are. I would copy and paste a 5-star review saying how EMac sent you here, and I would ultimately win 1 free week of Awesemo premium content. Sure. I'm just saying, that's the way I would game the system. So jump on in there and give her a try. Royals at Detroit. This one's a little bit interesting. I say interesting because Danny Duffy has actually been okay this year. I've been streaming him a little bit here. He's no longer available on the waiver wires to do that this week because he's had a couple of good starts in my season-long leagues. However, a 4 implied run total here from the Detroit Tigers feels a little bit higher than I thought. We're used to seeing their implied run total start with a 3. What do you want to do with Danny Duffy here, coming right in at 8,000 even on DraftKings? I think he's a fine SP2. I don't know that I want to call him an SP1. Where are you landing with on him?
Yeah, I like him just because he's low owned. Swinging strike rate is good. As long as his fastball averages 94, 95, you just play him because he just works off his fastball. When he used to be hurt, fastball will go down to 91 and it would just be brutal watching him because he can throw his slider or changeup when his fastball is 91 miles an hour. So I love Duffy. Play Duffy. I don't know if he's an SP1 just because you have options like Woodruff, which we'll get to, and Castillo later on. But he definitely works really well because he's going to be low today. And I don't really get the Detroit line of being projected for 4 runs. That feels way too high for me. They strike out a ton versus lefties as well.
And that one caught me off guard, which we'll point out some of these things. And this year, we want to remember we've got the cooler weather, we've got the raised teams on the baseball, we don't have the universal DH, so sometimes the runs are looking a little bit lower than what we're used to. This one seemed too high, and when it's a 4, the total seemed too high. But in any event, that's where we are on that one. Don't worry, gamers. There will be definitely some games where we really dig into the matchups, and we've got one right now. We've got the Mariners wrapping up their 4-game series in Boston. Sacrificial lamb Nick Margevicius is going to be on the mound for the Seattle Mariners. Here's my notes. Though he is just 25 years old, Margevicius has had to fast forward to the crafty lefty phase of his career already. Essentially, this southpaw has just 2 pitches in his arsenal. First, he comes at hitters 60% of the time with a not-so-fast fastball that barely touches 90 miles an hour, and then he works in a mediocre curveball. In the past, he has tried a slider, but that has not brought much success. What's missing here? The changeup. According to Baseball Info Solutions, he has not thrown a changeup in the last 2 seasons. How are you a lefty without a changeup?
Yeah, how do you get around righties? Answer, you don't.
The best part, he gives up even more power to lefties than he does righties. Rafael Devers, home run. Yeah. Talk to me here about the Bo Sox, man. Because there's nothing else that we need to say about Margevicius.
I actually wanted to call him Margavicious, but it doesn't really suit him because he's not very vicious.
No, there is no viciousness. And I can't look at his name. I have to just remember how the announcers say it because I always want to call him Margavicious or something. Yeah, as well. But it's Margavich it's something, it's closer to that. And then I went and looked at this phonetic pronunciation and that confused me even more. So I just try to listen to the announcers on YouTube for a few of his lowlights. There aren't any highlights with Nick.
Yeah.
Let me just say that.
Yeah, you just want to stack against him, especially because our tool is telling us, our top stacks tool is telling us that they have the best leverage score pretty much today, the Red Sox do. They're projected to be our second best percentage stack and only projected for 5% ownership, which is a really nice discount. Maybe people are going to avoid it because it's a late start. I don't know. I hope so. I'm going to have a ton of Red Sox stacks. Yeah, it's probably my favorite stack on the board today. You can play everybody here. Like you said, Devers as a lefty doesn't even matter because Margevicius does not get lefties out either. They're all expensive, but it's not like the pitching is really expensive today. So you can definitely fit in a really nice Red Sox stack.
All right, we did just get that Astros lineup, and
we did.
No Carlos Correa. So for those of you that are doing a little early lineups, you'll want to make sure that you did not have him selected since he is not starting today. You're going to be counting on a pinch hit home run from that side. So on the other side here, I'm somewhat intrigued. The weather does make me nervous. So I'm somewhat intrigued by Eduardo Rodriguez. Now, Ideally, they've already cognizantly said, hey, we're going to wait a little bit later into the game. Oh, Alex Verdugo scratched. So we'll get an update there on that one. But Rodriguez is somewhat interesting to me. The Mariners are coming at him very righty heavy in their lineups. Kyle Seager, the ageless wonder, I think he's like 34 or whatever. Let's just call him Corey's brother.
Brother of Corey,
yeah. He's batting third. That's all you need to know about the Mariners. But he's actually okay in lefty-lefty matchups.
He's decent.
For that one. And then you've got J.P. Crawford, who is all glove, no stick, batting ninth. So everybody else is going to be a righty in this one. Yeah. Kyle Lewis, arguably the Mariners' best hitter, is finally healthy. So he is batting cleanup today. It's not a terrifying lineup. It's just a 3.6 implied run total. So that has me heading towards Eduardo Rodriguez. If you were comparing Danny Duffy and Eduardo Rodriguez, who are just $200 apart on DK, which one would you land on?
See, my problem with Eddie Rodriguez is that 36.5% projected ownership. Mm-hmm. Duffy's projected for 9%. So you're getting a lot of leverage playing a Danny Duffy over Eduardo Rodriguez today. And in GPPs, that's just what I'm going to do. Like Eduardo Rodriguez, fine cash play. I totally get it. Great matchup. He's looked good this year. It's still in Fenway. Like Fenway, weird things happen. You don't have to hit the ball very hard to get a double or a home run here. So I'll just take an ownership discount and play Danny Duffy here.
A little bit of strategy here because we don't have the MLB strategy show today on Sundays. We're doing the straightforward live before lock already in the can. We do have the NBA strategy show that was with Josh Engelman and Rinpack earlier today. You can get that on your Awesemo podcast network, or it's on the YouTube channel as well right now. 3 more shows coming at you guys today. We of course have, well, I guess technically 2.5 because this is one of the shows, but after us, we do still have some action this evening for baseball or for NBA. At 5 o'clock, you got the deeper dive with myself and T McBee. And then at 6 o'clock, you got live before lock with Jason Floyd and Eric Lindquist for our 4-game NBA slate. So definitely stay tuned here. Please do hit that like button and even better, subscribe and hit that notification bell to know every time we go live. We're running out, I think, 11 hours of shows on Monday. Wow, that's a lot. So you're definitely going to want to see what's going on here at Awesemo at any given time. So let's go back here. We did get the updated lineup. So, I'm blanking on his name already. Verdugo was scratched. So They tweaked the lineup just a little bit here. Devers is now batting second. That's even better for him. JD Martinez third. Xander Bogaerts is fourth. Christian Vasquez, 5,100. Oh my God, I can't play him. Yes, you can because nobody else is because they're not going to like that price point, especially on DK where you got to play the catcher. basically he's a glorified designated hitter. He's an absolutely fine spot here, especially against lefty. And then you got my favorite guy, Hunter Renfroe.
My boy.
3,300. Is it a 1 or 2 Hunter Renfroe home run day today?
Let's just say 1. Let's not be greedy, EMac. I mean, he hasn't hit very well this year so far. So I'll just take 1. But moving up from 8th to 6th in a batting order is really nice for 33.
That is nice. And he actually, though he does not connect very well with righties, he does have extreme power against righties as well. I guess that's what happens when you swing from your heels. All right, now on to the Washington Nationals at the New York Metropolitans. Patrick Corbin got gobsmacked. That was no bueno. We have no Steven Strasburg as a Nationals fan here. That is not surprising, but that is where we are. You've got Taijuan Walker on the other side, former Mariner. He is an interesting option here. He's a guy who has strikeouts, but they're not consistent strikeouts.
Yeah.
So I'm going to call up here on the old odd shopper here. I wanted to see where he landed today, because some of these guys that are strikeout pitchers, it's nice to go look and see what the sports books have them at, so you can sort of gauge where they are. And why can't I find him? Well, why don't I just search his name, because then he will pop up. So, he actually is not. They don't have a strikeout prop for him today. I'm very sad. They did earlier. They did earlier this morning, so I think they must have pulled that. But anyway, that's this is a fun little spot where you can check and see the different strikeout props. His was coming in, I believe it was at 6.5, which was rare because almost everybody these days comes in around 5.5 or below. But you can see somebody like Koyahara, who is pitching today for the Rangers against the White Sox. He has just a 3.5 strikeout rate. And then the one that pops off the page now is Tristan McKenzie. He is going against the Yankees, but he does have a 6.5 over-under there for his strikeout. Yeah, so that would be one where I would probably lean towards the under. But that's a fun little place that you can check stuff out here. The odds are always updating by the minute here, and things are always changing. So this is a good spot where you can see everything at once and then pounce on whichever sportsbook is offering you the best numbers. If you have an account with each one, that's actually a good way to go. But the other neat thing is if you go to our Awesemo Odd Shopper page and click through any of the links to the sportsbook, it automatically hooks you up with whatever their best promotion is at the time.
Oh, nice.
When you see their what you see on Twitter and what you see on TV, not always their best promotion. That's where they're trying to get you guys in on the cheap. But they know if you're coming in through a gaming site, you're probably going to stick around a lot longer. So they give us a little bit better of a referral to get you in. It helps us out on the back end, helps you guys with your account. So definitely check that out over at oddshopper.com. All righty, back to this. Taijuan Walker. I'm liking him today. 3.4 implied run total for the Nationals. It's cooler weather, maybe a little bit of rain. I'm not too worried about that. But the Nationals without Soto, not a good lineup. We have Josh Harrison, Yadiel Hernandez batting second. Trey Turner, okay, I've heard of him. Josh Bell, also heard of him. Kyle Schwarber, I know that guy. Starlin Castro, been around forever. And then we got Yan Gomes, prefer him against lefties. You got Victor Robles. He'll steal if he gets on base, but I don't know that he gets on base against a righty. And then you got Pat Corbin. This is a disaster of a Washington lineup. Where are you ranking a $7,500 Taijuan Walker?
I love him. The problem is that he's like 20% owned. I would rather play him than like an Eddie Rodriguez stuff, because like half the ownership and pretty much the same upside, right? Like you're getting a really watered down Nats lineup with a pitcher, which Eddie Rodriguez doesn't get to face, versus a guy that's been showing good strikeout stuff. Nice fastball for Walker. His walks are a little bit of a concern. He doesn't really give up many hard hits, but the walks really hurt him last time. The swinging strikes have been less each start, but are still there. The main part here is that wind is blowing in at 10 miles an hour. It's like 50 degrees. It's a little rainy. It's just good weather for pitching. And the lineup is awful.
Hunter Renfroe, modern day Bo Jackson from our producer, Jordan Klein. I do want to say there are two Hunter Renfroes. There's the Hunter Renfroe that spells his name Renfrow, plays for the Raiders. Hunter Renfroe, the well-traveled slugger, Renfroe. Slight difference there. They do look alike. They do look
both
alike.
Professional sports players.
All right. So talk to me about Corbin. I prefer the Mets going against righties personally. However, J.D. Davis at 3,400 is looking a little bit tasty there on DK bat and cleanup. James McCann, always fine against opposite-handed pitchers. And then Pete Alonso, 5,100. We're paying for it, but we're getting extreme power there. This is a scary lineup. And, oh, yeah, Francisco Lindor. Remember when he came up and he was just supposed to be like all glove, no stick, like he's the J.P. Crawford?
Yeah.
No. He's competent. And he's a switch hitter. How did we miss that in the scouting reports? I don't know, but he is a phenomenal player as well. Where are you ranking the Mets? We have a 10-mile-an-hour breeze coming in from left center.
EMac, which Corbin's going to show up? The xFIP of 16 versus the Arizona Diamondbacks, or the xFIP of 3 versus St. Louis? Who? I don't know.
He was feeling pressure going against his former team. They extracted revenge upon him. So the truth somewhere in the middle. Patrick Corbin home runs allowed today, 2.5. You taking the over or the under? Even with the wind, you have to think about it.
Yeah, I mean, his fastball velocity did go up 1 mile an hour. So instead of 90 miles an hour, it's now 91. And he just works everything off the fastball. His best pitch is the slider, right? But no one's going to swing at the slider if you're throwing meatballs in the middle of the plate at 90 miles an hour. If his fastball velocity keeps trending up, I think he can be a serviceable pitcher. He was great in Arizona when he was averaging like 93, 94 on the fastball. He basically threw 2 pitches last start. He scrapped the changeup, just threw fastball and slider. So I don't know. It's a tough spot. Let's look at the Mets ownership and our top stacks too. The Mets are projected to be really low owned. Oh, not really low, at 5.8%. But they only have a 3.7% chance of being the top stack. So they actually have a negative leverage score. So I think I'm going to stay away from the Mets. I'm not going to play any Corbin either for that, just because we have so many pitchers in the 7-8K range that project a lot better than he does. So I think it might be a stay away spot for me.
All right, I see they're talking about Bo Jackson, Deion Sanders. Hey, let's not sleep on Brian Jordan for Atlanta. He was a defensive back as well. He was pretty good. I think he played for the Cardinals and the Braves. Who did he play for in
Michael Jordan's cousin?
I believe there's no relation.
It's a little known fact.
Let's see. He was drafted in the 7th round, but cut by the Buffalo Bills.
Do you just have that up?
No, I just looked it up. It's the beauty of the internet. It's the beauty of the internet. But yeah, I thought he ended up playing football. I don't remember for sure, or he was about to. Maybe he never actually did, but I do remember him as a potential crossover. That was kind of a thing in the 90s. Well, the thing with like 3 people. But all right, back to this, because now I got completely distracted there. So you're waving off the Metropolitans. I'm okay with them against Corbin personally. I do think Taijuan Walker is on the short list of top pitchers, but I'm not quite as. You are to this game what I was to Oakland and Baltimore.
Yeah, see, I like Oakland and Baltimore. I mean, I like Oakland way more as a stack than I do the Mets, just because there's more power. Right. But I mean, the 16 xFIP, Corbin can show up at like any time. I just have nothing. And then, you're going to want some Mets stacks if you're building 150. But they're not on my short list of stacks for 3 max or 20 max.
All right. Toronto at Tampa Bay. We have a roof. We don't have precipitation. We have a low implied run total here. We've got Hyun-Jin Ryu taking the mound. The lefty is going against the Rays. Solid opportunity here. The Rays just have a 3.7 implied run total. On the other side, you have Luis Patino, who is probably going to pitch 1 inning and give way to Josh Fleming or Jordan Fleming. I've lost track of which Fleming it is. But Josh Fleming is what I thought as well. He has gone, I think, he should be good for 70 to 80 pitches.
Yeah,
he is I think he's in the mid 7,000s here on VK. Would you consider playing him for a little differentiation. We don't need it on the slate, do we? With 24 pitchers.
Toronto's too good.
Just a 3.9 implied run total. I mean, that sounds like the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah. I don't know. Vegas is sleeping off the MMA from yesterday. So I think
I was expecting to see one of their key hitters not in the lineup, and nobody's popping out that is.
No, it's the standard.
I mean, other than Teoscar Hernandez, who's dinged up, but you got Biggio, Bo Bichette, Vladdy Jr., Grichuk, Semien, Lourdes Gurriel. I mean,
it's a really good line.
Expected guys, yeah. Sneaky stack of the day for you.
Yeah, so I actually thought they were super sneaky. And then I looked at them in our top stacks tool, and they're coming in a little bit over-owned and negative leverage, which I don't like. I don't like playing those stacks. But I really think that this is a good team to stack just because I like to stack teams that have power up and down the line. I know home runs like win GPPs. I don't know if you guys know this. But
really?
It's a little known fact.
Has there been a study on this?
It's my eye test study.
Okay.
So
going with your gut, that's always the savvy strategy.
And Fleming's actually been hit pretty hard this year. Has a low swinging strike rate, which you like. People are going to make contact versus him. So yeah, I do like a Toronto stack here. They're on my short list of stacks. They're being projected at 7.4% only, and only 4.5% as a top stack. So a little bit negative leverage. I'm not sure if maybe the low run total is going to drive people off of them, but I hope so. Also, like Tampa is not a good spot usually in like August to stack teams, but when everywhere else is 40 degrees, they actually come out not so bad in that dome.
That's actually a good point that I think sometimes gets lost in this.
Yeah. So yeah, I like Toronto stack there. Expensive. Lourdes Gurriel at 2.9K. Hasn't really been hitting this year, but he will eventually. And Randall Grichuk is just getting no respect. He's like the Rodney Dangerfield of MLB here, 3.7K in a great matchup.
You will be happy to know that we don't have to worry about Mike Trout. He's not playing today.
Okay.
That's concerning. Again, yeah. They said Friday they thought he'd play. He got hit by a pitch in his left elbow, for those of you wondering. But he hasn't been in the lineup since. So we do have all but Pittsburgh right now for our lineup. So that's going to help us out. Anything else from this one here? I don't really feel like one-offs in this game. I think it's more of a stack. Well, at least from the Toronto side, it's more of stack or not.
I mean, both sides. Yeah, I mean, Ryu fastball velocity was down 2 miles an hour last start, pretty much out of nowhere. And conversely, his xFIP shot up from 2.5 to 5. This was against the Red Sox. To take it for what it's worth, Red Sox hit the ball very well. So I don't mind a Tampa stack because they swing away for the fences. And I always like them more versus lefties than I do righties, just because I think Mike Brosseau is really good when he's in the lineup. And he's usually in the lineup versus lefties. Hitting today at 3.3K, second base eligible. Very nice spot.
All right, moving along here, we've got about 30 minutes to go, about half the slate. Some of these games will go by a little bit quicker. Arizona at Atlanta. This is not on Fanduel. This is a Draftkings only. This is game one of a doubleheader. It is scheduled for 7 innings. That doesn't impact our pitchers. We do have Zach Gallen at 8,600 on DK. Bryce Wilson on the other side. Not really excited about him at all until I see the 3.1 implied run total here for Arizona. Now we have to remember that he's still going to get his normal allotment of innings and pitches. So you don't want to totally mind bend yourself into thinking that's a really implied low run total. That would be closer to 4 or maybe even 4.2 if this was going to be a 9-inning game.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about the pitching in this one?
I really like Zach Gallen.
Okay.
7 innings is actually pretty good for pitchers because they can pitch a complete game and just blow people away. But he's projected for 4% in our pitching tool. That's insanely low. And it's not like he's in the mid 9Ks. He is 8,600. Cheap. Atlanta is a little scary. It's nice weather in Atlanta, almost 70 degrees with the wind blowing out at 12 miles an hour. But Gallen is really good. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough matchup, super low owned. I think a very nice GPP play to go over on Gallen at 8.6K.
How do you feel about Bryce on the other side? We get a significant discount on him at 6,700.
He sucks. Okay. He's not a good pitcher. Is he 6.7K bad? I don't know, but he doesn't really have any upside. Like,
what if he was 5.7? Would that turn
like 5.7? I think I would definitely put some.
And I just throw that out there because a lot of times, as the weather warms up, we're going to be dumpster diving here for some of these cheap SP2s. Yeah. We don't need to today, but it's always good to sort of calibrate where you think they are. Now, he threw a nice 69 pitches in his first game against the Cubs, but he did allow 2 home runs.
I mean, he's not very good, but he's also like not stack against him bad in a 7-inning game, So
if you had to guess, how many MLB innings do you think he has in his career? He has pitched over 4 seasons, counting this year. So he's pitched 3.
80 innings.
47. That's low. That's really low.
Really low. I mean, because he's not very good.
Well, there is that. There is that. But that's
so. And Bryce with an S, I'm just not buying. I and an S. Yeah, I don't like that he spells his name.
No, he should legally change that to a Z. Give him a little more emphasis there.
Briz. I like Briz Wilson much more than Bryce Wilson.
Yeah. 7-inning game. Do you want to go against him? We are getting a discount for a lot of the Arizona hitters. I'm okay with them as one-offs. I do not think I would look to stack this one. However, I do like to point out that there are the home team still is guaranteed. The away team is still guaranteed 7 at bats.
Yeah.
The home team could only get 6.
I don't mind it.
They're super cheap. Cole Calhoun, I mean, if he connects, the ball goes far.
Yeah, for sure.
If he doesn't connect, well, he's in line for the golden sombrero today.
Yeah, I mean, the weather is so nice there. This is like your top weather spot, I feel like, just because the wind's blowing out and it's warm. There's a really nice short porch in right field. Yeah, I don't know. Normally I would say stay away, but I don't mind it versus Bryce with an S.
All right. Let me see here. It says people are worried about Fantasy Cruncher. Well, you still got 30 minutes. Maybe they'll get their stuff working again. I'm not running crunches, so I'm not aware of what the issues are.
Yeah, me neither.
But I will be soon enough. Yikes. So if you need a plan to get around that, you can always skip the first game. Maybe even it gets harder after that. So you buy yourself about 5 minutes. I don't want to give up on the Yankees, the Red Sox, or Danny Duffy. So it's really hard to go push it much further than that. Today we have 7 games at 110. So everything's really front loaded today. So we don't really get us much wiggle room, but just remember, you do get it a little 5 extra minutes. Yesterday, we saw a little bit of an issue with the stat provider in NBA. I don't know if you were playing NBA or not, but about 5 minutes before tip-off of the first game, the stat provider started putting out stats. The sites locked the game.
Oh, geez.
It wasn't happening. It was a glitch. The game hadn't started. So all of a sudden, it was like, oh boy,
man,
we haven't seen this. And all the apps, because they all essentially, most of them use the same data providers, are all showing points and stuff. And everybody's like, the game started the game. So furiously, I'm trying to get on because our guys are on the show, not knowing what's going on. So I'm trying to log into my ML or my NBA TV account, see is the game really going? And I get there and it's like, no, it's Pacers highlights and some lady announcing them. So it's like, okay, the game's not starting yet. We can still upload files, but it was an absolute disaster last night.
It's not like we don't have enough trouble with lineups in NBA. We also need the stat providers getting things wrong.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Get it together.
Just get interns. What are you going to do with it? All right. Back onto, that's just everybody in chat saying, EMac, time. Let's get a move on.
We'll get there.
We got this because I'm turning this one over to you. Dylan Bundy.
Okay.
What say you? I know you're pent up with a lot of a layout here, so fire away.
So Dylan Bundy last start was like super chalky. And he got super unlucky. Only 4 hard hit balls, but 3 of them were barrels. So he ended up giving up a bunch of runs, but the stuff still looked great. in this spot, he's going to be super low owned just because he's facing Houston. But like you said, Correa not in the lineup. Houston lineup a little bit watered down. And I like Bundy in this spot as a super low owned contrarian option at his price, just because he gets a ton of swing and misses and can get you a really nice strikeout score. And strikeouts are, I don't know, little known fact, they're good for pitchers in GPPs because that's how you win GPPs is by getting these 30, 40 point games. And that's what Bundy can do for you. Like this Astros lineup, Miles Straw leading off, gets thin real quick with Diaz, Garcia, and Maldonado at the bottom. Like me a little Dylan Bundy at, let's see what he's projected at in our pitching tool at 1.5%. Can't beat that.
So it looks like the roof is going to be open in Minute Maid Park. Does that damper any of your enthusiasm?
It's a good hitting park, but you still have to hit the ball. So I'm not saying go 150 lineups of Dylan Bundy, but I think he's worth more than 1%. I think 10% is going to get you 10x of everybody else, and he's a really good GPP play just because of his strikeouts.
All right. On the other side.
Yeah, Lance McCullers with his second COVID shot giving him a little bit of weakness and being held out last start. I have no idea what his pitch count is going to be here, just because he's coming off of that. So he's too expensive for me at 8.8K in the spot, even with Mike Trout not being there. You still have Ohtani, who's just hitting the cover off the ball. Walsh, Schebler, Pujols, Upton, Fletcher. This is still a good lineup. And like you said, a really good park. So just because of his price at 8.8K and not knowing how many pitches we're going to get out of him, he's a pass for me.
Okay. He's had his moments. He's had his run of Cy Young stretches.
Yeah.
It's so infuriating. For a ground ball pitcher, he usually has pretty good strikeout stuff, but even that has kind of been waxing and waning, shall we say, to borrow a lunar analogy there from that one. Oh, I see. Awesemo says, smash that like button. Please do. We like that. 17 more minutes to go here before lock. We have 4 more games. We're going to get there. Gamers,
for sure.
I will say I'm okay with a little bit of the heart of the order here going against Bundy, a little bit of a synergy stack. I don't really want one-offs from Houston, with the exception of probably Yordan Alvarez, who should just be in your lineups all the time. He is going to be the Mike Trout of the Mike Trout days ahead. But in the meantime, that everybody else just feels better as a one-off in this one, or not as a one-off, but as part of a stack. Texas and the Chi Sox. So we got a couple of pitchers here. I know I'm going to say that wrong. Arihara. Thank you. 4.4 implied run total. Now I talked about him the last time he was pitching. Does not particularly have that strikeout stuff. Coming over here, I'm going by memory as I'm trying to call up some information. He pitched for 4, 5, 6 years in Japan. Actually was a teammate of Shohei Ohtani. I believe they both played for the Nippon Ham Fighters, if I'm remembering correctly. But he has pitched 4 innings thus far. He does have 13 strikeouts in 21 innings. So not horrible, but not great either. I'm worried that the book's going to be out on him soon enough. He makes me a little bit nervous. On the other side, you've got Kopech, who has had, coming up with one of the best pedigrees out of the Chi Sox organization here. He is someone that is quite interesting. We got to see him for just a little bit of time a couple years ago. And then he was, I can't remember if he had Tommy John at one point and then the shortened season and all that, but he's started 1 game so far this year. He's gone 10 innings. He's made a couple of appearances out of the bullpen. He has strikeouts for days. 17 and 10 and a third. When we last saw him in the majors in 2018, it was just a cup of coffee, but he did have 15 strikeouts in 14 innings. I'm willing to take a chance on him against the Rangers, who are not a scary lineup.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about his pitch count?
Yeah, he's the most he's thrown this year is 41 pitches. Not a lot. So I have no idea how long he'll go, especially because he's a strikeout guy. So he's not really going to, give you 3 pitch at bats or, 1 pitch at bats or whatever. So I don't know, 4 innings, 70 pitches tops.
So he's not going to qualify for the win. That we can say.
No. So yeah, I don't think that's somewhere I want to go. He's almost 7K. There's just better spots.
Over, under 4.5 strikeouts.
Oof. I'm going to say over just because it's the Rangers. Yeah. But I think like 5 or 6.
If I said it at 5.5, I don't know that I'd want the over on 5.5. Yes. I feel good at 4.5.
Yes. So that's my spiel on him. Right. Arihara, on the other hand, I don't know. I've been wanting to stack against this guy, but he throws like 9 different pitches, literally. And as like a baseball nerd, I just love that. Like guys that don't throw hard, but just throw so many angles and so many different pitches that they keep hitters off balance. It's a very tough lineup he's facing in the White Sox. So I don't know if this is a spot to play him, but I'm also staying away from the White Sox here just because I think he can keep you off balance with that crazy array of pitches. He's like Yu Darvish that's throwing 5 miles an hour slow.
Which is not Yu Darvish.
Right. But he's 7K. So.
All righty. Let's continue on here. We'll talk about pitchers and top stacks when we get there. Here's one I want to spend a moment on. The Minnesota Twins. Okay, weather dicey here. Yeah. But I want the hitters. Why do I want the hitters? Because we have Will Crowe. Who is Will Crowe? Well, let me tell you. Here's my notes. It's gonna be miserable in Minnesota today with game time temperatures in the mid-40s and a strong 10 to 12 mile an hour breeze coming in from right field. There's also chances of afternoon showers, so keep an eye on the precipitation. However, the matchup against Will Crowe is such a good one that it's safe to roll the dice against Mother Nature today. While he was above average starter in the SEC, Crowe does not appear to have a particularly dominating stuff in the show. He was drafted not once, not twice, but 3 times. 30th or so round out of high school when he was first eligible out of college and went in the 20th round. And then somehow the Washington Nationals said, we're going to make you our number 2 pick. He was summarily dismissed from the team. Well, traded for Josh Bell this December. But between his 3 starts last year and 1 appearance this season, 12 innings, he has allowed 5 home runs, 14 runs. Wow. 2 of them were unearned, but come on, we're just going to call it 14 with 10 walks. Projection systems, well, they don't like him either. 7 to 7.5 strikeouts per 9, walk rate of 3.7 to 4.1. The home run rate 1.4 to 1.6.
Yeah,
load them up, baby, load them up. That would be the Twins. That is.
EMac, I hope you don't eat crow on this.
I was going to work that in somewhere. But it just felt a little over the top, even for me.
I'm a dad, so I can make dad jokes all day long. I totally agree with you. The Twins look great outside of the weather. I'm not worried about the rain here anymore. I was early. But it's just miserable.
40 degrees with the wind. Yeah. That doesn't sound fun.
Yeah, but like they're used to it in Minnesota, right? Like it's always miserable. I love the Twin stack here.
I don't think Josh Donaldson is playing in Oakland and then the Rogers Center, the Toronto Dome. He's not used to it, but everybody else is. Is that what we're going to say? Okay.
Yeah, no. This guy, Alex Kirilloff, has some power. He's 2K.
2K batting fifth.
Batting fifth. Yeah. Jack Cave, 2K, also has power.
Horrible. But he hits the ball very, very far.
Yeah, and like Crow's not going to miss bats, I have no idea how long Crow will go here, but he was called up from the minors for this start. I'm assuming he's fully stretched out. So
I was thinking he's going to throw about 70 pitches and be yanked for ineffectiveness. So.
Yeah. I think the Twin stack is probably my second favorite stack, but just be aware that the weather sucks here.
All right. On the other side, I do not want to set my randomness at 55. I would prefer it to be 25. It is baseball, but it's not crazy baseball. So Matt Shoemaker in chat, someone was asking, is he a solid SP2? I would say yes. He's 6,300 on
6.3. Yeah, the price is great. I mean,
even though Pittsburgh gets the designated hitter because this isn't an AL park, does it matter?
Yeah, I mean,
no, not really.
They don't have good hitters, so
hello, Kevin Newman, Jacob Stallings.
They're better than pitchers, but not that much better. Yeah, he gives up a lot of barrels. But I don't really know who's going to barrel the ball up and if it's even going to go anywhere in this weather. His swinging strikes have been down each start, concerning. But, for him, it's all about the splitter. If the splitter is working, he's going to be good. 6.3K is just way too cheap. I think he's going to be higher owned today just because he's so cheap and a great matchup. So just be aware of that. But yeah, I think that he makes for a fine SP2.
We're in the presence of greatness right now.
We are.
Watching our show, we have Kurt R12, who says, thank you, Alex Baker, for the content. I won the Yahoo NBA MGM Las Vegas trip. So this I think they run it every Friday in NBA. They did it in NFL, and they'll do it in MLB if they haven't already started. I don't think they were going to do 2 per week, but that'll be featured. So it's a trip out to Vegas. He won it 2 weeks in a row.
What?
2 weeks in a row. It's a large field GPP. I mean, it's their flagship contest for Fridays. So
take me. I'm pretty fun. No, I'm pretty fun. Yeah. I mean, congrats, dude. Keep rocking.
Yeah. Way to go, man. Way to go. That is pretty sweet. That is pretty sweet. All right.
What do we have? One more?
2 more. We got the Reds and Cardinals. Luis Castillo and Jack Flaherty. We have 7 implied run total for this entire game.
Yes.
Wow. Until you start to look at the lineups. Let's see. Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado.
It's the standard lineup.
And Paul Double DeYoung.
Yeah.
They're good, but Luis Castillo is better against righties. And then on the other side, you've got Joey Votto, Jesse Winker, Nick Senzel, Nick Castellanos, Eugenio Suarez, but Flaherty's a pretty good pitcher in and of himself. I don't know what to do with this one other than play the pitchers.
Flaherty is your mega chalk today. I think he's projected for almost 40%, 30% ownership. I think it's too much. He's got an xFIP of 4, low swinging strikes. I'm just going to pass and take some volatility elsewhere. I think I would play him and Woodruff if I was playing cash games. That's probably my cash game stack. But in GPPs, I'm going to pass on him and take some volatility with other guys. So that's my spiel on Flaherty. Fine pitcher, low run total. Reds probably are projected for 3.4. It's not good. I just think there's better spots elsewhere for GPPs. On the other side, Luis Castillo has been chalk every single start and had 1 good one so far this year. I don't know about this guy, but I think I'm tired of touting him and him sucking. So I'm just going to tell you that his underlying stats are still great. 15% swinging strike rate, and he has a 12% swinging strike rate and a 15% K rate. So that screams insanely unlucky. Just not getting the swings and misses on the 3rd strike, which is volatility. That's going to pass. So, yeah, I still think that he's probably chalky today, but I think he's going to be less and less chalky the more he kind of hurts people. So I still like him today, 7.6K, way too cheap for a guy with his upside.
All right, I got nothing else to add on that one.
Don't play hitters. It's just too many other spots.
Looking at my crunches here, I'm gonna get those kicked off because it's time. We got 10 minutes to go till lock.
Yeah.
We have Jake Arrieta and Brandon Woodruff facing off. I am not scared by Jake Arrieta. Brandon Woodruff, however, I am. This feels like a Brew Crew day to me.
Yeah, Woodruff, the only pitcher in baseball who hasn't given up a barrel yet. 4 starts.
Really?
4 barrels. Yeah, the guy's just insanely good. And finally getting priced up on Draftkings, 9.4K. think he's our most expensive pitcher today, but totally deserves it. This is his third start and 4 starts this year versus the Cubbies. They play each other a lot. But wind blowing in at Wrigley, 44 degrees, cold, has a 12% swinging strike rate, xFIP of 2, which is very, very good. Woodruff, a great pitcher today, 30% owned. I don't mind eating chalk on this one.
Yeah, and there's really not much else to add on that one. It's one of those where Woodruff is locked in. He's in a phenomenal spot.
Yeah.
And it's the way to go. Mike Campbell asks, hey, EMac, what are your thoughts on a 3-max winner takes all with 100 players? Play it like a GPP. Don't play it any differently. Ideally go down and buy in a little bit and get into more of them. So if you're playing like a $10 or $5, play the same amount of dollar value, but play it in the $1 or the quarter contest if you're playing over on DK. The upside is tremendous. The other thing I like to do when I'm playing those contests is I usually put those teams in one other smaller GPP as well. There's nothing worse than finishing second or third in one of those and not having that lineup anywhere else. I will say that. I'll play them for baseball and hockey, max them out. Basketball, I usually just join a handful just for some fun. And NFL, I usually just join a handful for fun. Although I do like them on the short slates for NFL. But baseball and hockey, I love those over there on DK. But again, I play the quarter ones where you win $50. But you just, to win, and it's $1.75 per. So basically, you could play as many as they spawn each week, and you just got to win 1 per week to break even. And if you win 2 or 3 throughout the week, all of a sudden it's really a bankroll builder. But if you're playing conservative in those, you're going to get your clock cleaned. So you don't have to go overboard. Just treat it like a regular GPP. But I do like those. What are your top stacks here as we wind down our show?
Boston, Minnesota, Oakland.
I knew you were going to go with Oakland. I'm going to take those, and I am going to add in Milwaukee.
Yankees?
No, I'm going to go with Milwaukee. Well, Yankees would be 4 for me, but technically they're tied. I've got each of those at 10%, and I'm running my crunches now. So those would be kind of what I call my top stacks.
Yeah.
Achi Blue asks, what's the consensus on the Seattle White Sox? Are they going to play? Yes, they're going to push that game to play it later this afternoon. The weather does clear up. These teams score off one more for a 3-game series in Seattle in September. Otherwise, they're on opposite sides of the country. They're not going to have off days lining up like when we had Baltimore and the Nationals, when they had the Nationals screwing around with the weather and calling it a PPD or whatever for the game. Yeah. If they have an off day together, they're only 35 miles apart. A little easier to get them in the same spot at the same time. Not so much for Boston and Seattle. So they're going to wait that one out. Minnesota is the little bit of a tricky spot. I'm playing a little bit of Shoemaker, but I'm heavy on the Minnesota bats. So I'm riding hard on that one. Looks like I'm going to have about 20 to 25% Minnesota bats today.
Yeah, that sounds very reasonable to me.
We're going big on that one. So
very reasonable. You like that endorsement?
Yes. Top pitchers for you. I think Galen, Flaherty, Rodriguez, and make sure you get some Woodruff in your life. A little bit of Duffy and Taijuan Walker. That's kind of I'm going very tight on the pitching core today.
Don't forget about Luzardo. I really like Luzardo as well for GPPs.
All right. Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Never mind. Boom. Just think of how good my dad jokes would be if I had kids.
You can't do the crow one. The crow with the best.
All right. We are going to roll on out of here. We have 2 more shows in the can already is Rinpack and Josh Lingman breaking down the NBA slate. You will also get the deeper dive today. That will be myself and Team McBee. I see he's floating around there in chat. And then you'll get Live Before Lock with Jason Floyd and Eric Lindquist. Check us out here at Awesemo. We have all sorts of goodness going on today. With that, gamers, good luck.